Recording of the call, and welcome to Gita Gyan, day 2 of Bhagavad Gita summarization. Okay, this program, like we mentioned, is sponsored and powered by ISKCON Sheshadripuram, and our prayers and obeisances to Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra Mai, Sudarshan, and Lord Narasimha, and Gaur Nithai, and the Guru Parampara. Does anyone want to try the prayers today? Anyone can go off mute and try.
The prayers are not seen in the screen.
Okay. Oh, is that for everyone?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, let me try again.
Yes.
Yes. 1 second. Let me blow it up for you then first. Are you able to see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
go
ma'am.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, Hare
शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः.
Okay.
नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे.
Thank you. Give me a second. Are you able to see my screen again?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, our classes today is dedicated to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who's the founder Acharya of our International Society of Krishna Consciousness, also known as ISKCON. And also, we pray to His Holiness Jayapadaka Swami Maharaj, who inspired the Gita Gyan program in 2020, and we also pray for his good health. Today, the verse from Gita Mahatmya. Does anyone want to try this verse?
Yes,
to read
Mataji.
out loud? Okay, go ahead.
गीता ध्यानशीलस्य प्राणायामपरस्य च नैव सन्ति हि पापानि पूर्वजन्मकृतानि च. If one reads Bhagavad Gita very sincerely and with all seriousness, then by the grace of the Lord, the reactions of his past misdeeds will not act upon him.
So thank you, Mataji. So just by reading the Bhagavad Gita, the previous reactions of all his misdeeds, his actions. So in material life, there's one thing we cannot avoid. Whatever we do, whatever action we take, there is going to be some reactions out of it. Do you agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
Whether you do good activities, bad activities, good activities, pious activities have their own set of reactions. If you do impious activities, there's own set of reaction. But even for a regular person, let's say, who's not is not deeply into Krishna consciousness, he's living his life, he's engaged in all kind of food eating, alcoholic consumption, right? This person is watching programs on TV which engages in all kind of gossip, fault finding, or they might just try to hurt another person because of their ego issues, right? Now, knowingly or unknowingly, we are constantly doing these kind of activities, right? Even if you think, I'll not physically attack a person, mentally you might be thinking bad about that person, though others may not get to know it, but you know that you're not being, you are thinking, your mind is constantly thinking, engaging in some activities which may be called in the group of misdeeds, right? So one thing that we need to be very careful of as humans, the worst possible reaction, we all believe in the cycle of life and death, right? And the worst possible reaction a human being can have is They no longer have a human birth in their
Hilkoval,
next life.
Hilkoval.
Okay, please put yourself on mute while the class is on, unless you're requested to talk. Okay, so the worst possible reaction for a human being especially is that if they have a next life and they're not born as a human again. Look, any animal, think of a dog on the street, the only thing that they focus on is eating, sleeping, and mating, right? And with the human body, if our focus is also just that, eating, sleeping, and mating, we are no different from an animal. We are living an animal life, though we have a human birth. So that means to say our next life is going to be similar to the life that we are living today. So the life that we are living today, we are preparing for our next birth, right? You understand that statement? The life that we are living today, we are preparing for what kind of birth we'll take in our next life. So if you're living a very animal-like tendencies, your life is filled with animal-like tendency, it's assured that your next birth will be that of an animal. But if you're living like a nice devotee, you're reading, you're chanting, you're serving the Lord at whatever capacity you can. So all these kind of activities, what they do is they sustain your human life in your next birth, right? So whatever you have done so far, that from that point you'll start moving ahead in your spiritual life in your next birth. So all the mistakes that has happened because you have because of whatever reactions you have from many births, and you and I have gone through millions of births, billions of births before we have got this human life form. So a pile of sins or misdeeds are very huge. It's even huger than the Mount Everest, and we are trying to overcome that mountain of sin and now engage in spiritual life by reading Bhagavad Gita, right? And by this process, slowly, our mountain of sins are going to reduce. We are going to overcome it and successfully be under the shelter of the Lord. So this is the very important part of Gita Mahatmya. This very nicely explains how we can overcome just by reading, just by remembering the Lord always, thinking of the Lord, His grace. By His grace, we can overcome the past misdeeds. Okay, any questions on Gita Mahatmya? Anytime, if you feel that you have a question, just raise your hand. I may not always be reading the chat, but if you feel that the question is very important to the topic that we're discussing right now, just
I have a question.
yes, go ahead.
Excuse me, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. There are how many types of Gita in all?
How many types of Gita?
Yes, ma'am. Are there different types of Gita?
You mean Bhagavad Gita? There are different kind of Gitas. Like we mentioned yesterday, there's Uddhava Gita, there's Ashtavakra Gita, there's Devi Gita, there's Rudra Gita, right?
Okay, ma'am. So are they all part of? Yes, ma'am. So they are all part of, ma'am, the epic, ma'am, Mahabharata?
It's not all part of Mahabharata. Mahabharata would have just Bhagavad Gita. But if you're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, you'll see references to Rudra Gita, you'll see reference to Uddhava Gita. Yeah, so you see that. And many other Puranas which lead with Devi Purana, you'll see Devi Gita over there. Or if you're looking at Dattatreya talking about there's one, I forget the name of the Gita. The Dattatreya speaking to Kartikeya. There's one more Gita of that. So different Puranas have different Gitas, but Vaishnava, we have Rudra Gita, we have Uddhava Gita, we have Bhagavad Gita. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Jay, any other questions? Okay, let's start with chapter 2. It's called the contents of the Gita summarized, because that is what exactly this chapter 2 is going to do, right? So in the chapter 1, Sanjay had concluded that Arjuna was not inclined to fight. And this is making Dhritarashtra a little joyful internally. He's feeling fine that maybe my sons are not going to be hurt. Maybe they'll get over the kingdom without a fight. He's feeling a little joyful. But Sanjaya in chapter 2 is trying to break that confidence of Dhritarashtra and is now explaining that Krishna is going to start responding to Arjuna's doubts. he had 5 doubts. Dices. What is that? The D is for destruction of dynasty, right? I is for indecision. C is for compassion for his family. E is for no enjoyment. And S is he's worried about the sins he's going to accumulate. So 5 questions that Arjuna raised if he fights. And Krishna is going to start responding to these questions now. So this title, Contents of Gita Summarized, is so because in this one chapter, Krishna is going to summarize Karma Yoga. He's going to summarize Jnana Yoga. And he's also going to give a glimpse into Bhakti Yoga. And before Karma Yoga, he also talks about Karma Kanda. Okay, so 4 topics, main topics is covered in one single chapter, but he's giving a very brief into each of these topics. As we go further into Bhagavad Gita, each of these topics will be explained in much more detail. So this one chapter, so before he's going into the depth of the topics, he's giving a highlighter of what is going to be covered in Bhagavad Gita in this chapter. So the 5 questions that was raised by Arjuna, Krishna is going to respond to them one by one, and he's going to respond at a very elementary level, okay, such that, remember, Arjuna is a Jivatma, okay, and Krishna is the Ishvara. So Arjuna is representing all of us in this conversation. He is asking questions to the Lord such that any questions that we have internally is also responded to these questions. So we are going through the basics of spiritual knowledge in these next few verses. Okay. Next, so Arjuna is filled with compassion. He's lamenting that, why am I fighting? Right? Looking at Arjuna's state, Krishna starts chastising him. Krishna disapproves of Arjuna's misplaced compassion. So he's calling Arjuna an Arya. Now, who is a Arya? Arya is a one who is focused on spiritual culture, who is focused on liberation from this material life. So he's calling Arjuna an Arya, one who is getting misled from the path of spiritual growth, progressive life. Okay, so Anarya is a person who is further getting into the shackles of material life existence. So he's chastising Arjuna and calling him Anarya. So, but even after being chastised by Arjuna, by Krishna, Arjuna is further putting out his questions. He's expressing his indecision. He says, how can I attack people like Bhishma and Drona who are worthy of my worship? They are elders. In Indian culture, superiors, we don't even counteract them with verbal abuse, or we don't talk to them rudely, right? But Arjuna has been asked to fight them, to kill them, wage war against them with the intent of killing them. So he's asking Krishna, how can I kill them? How can I kill these elders from my family? And he's calling Krishna in this verse as Arisudana. Arisudana, Ari is to kill, right? One who kills his enemies. So he's telling, you are Arisudana. You're the one who kills his enemy. You will not kill your grandfather or teachers. So why are you asking me to kill my grandfather and teacher now? Okay. So with that, we'll go to verse 7. Could someone please read this verse on your screen?
धर्म सम्मूढ़ चेता यश्रेयशां निस्थितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेषां शादित्वां त्वां प्रपन्नम्.
Go ahead. Please read the translation.
Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly
Weakness. Yes.
Miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you, tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered onto you. Please instruct me.
Thank you, Mataji. Karpanya doshopahata swabhavaha prachami tvam dharma samhura chetaha. Yakshreyasyaan nishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham sadimam tvam prapannam. So Arjuna, in his state of bewilderment, he's submitting completely to Krishna, Krishna's lotus feet. He's accepting Krishna as his guru. He says, because of my miserly weakness. What is this miserly weakness? Weakness, knowing that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, you're not willing to surrender. You're trying to say, my my ideas are better, higher than Krishna. That is miserly weakness, because that weakness comes from our own senses. We are surrendering to our senses versus surrendering to the Supreme God, right? And that is our miserly weakness. So Arjuna is saying, I'm afflicted by that. I'm confused what my duties are. I'm so he's no longer looking at Krishna as a friend. He's sitting at the feet. Look at that picture. He's sitting at the feet of Krishna and he's begging Krishna to instruct him on what is best for him. So this is a mood of surrendering to a guru. Fall at the feet of the guru, render service, and if the spiritual master feels you're ready to receive that knowledge, he will give you that knowledge. So Arjuna is now surrendered at the feet of Krishna. Okay, so what should we do when we are in doubt? We should follow Sadhu, Shastra, and Bhagwan. Okay, the ultimate teacher is the Lord. He's a teacher of all of all the universes. Now, Sadhu is the one who connects you to the Lord, okay, who reveals the absolute truth without any kind of mixing his own thoughts, giving his own interpretation. No, he gives you the absolute truth. That is a spiritual master, and such a spiritual master you should surrender to. Sometimes the spiritual master might talk to us through his books as well. So Sadhu, Shastra, and Bhagwan, sometimes they talk to us through our books. So even if the guru is not there to personally instruct us, they will talk to us through the books, just like what Krishna is doing right now. He's talking to each one of us through Bhagavad Gita, right? And he's talking via Arjuna. So Arjuna is playing the role of maybe a spiritual master in this whole situation, right? So this teacher might sometimes chastise you, sometimes, and in that process, they'll remove doubts and also correct you. But one should not take offense to the chastisement, because that chastisement is needed to remove the internal sins filled up in our heart. So chastising is good. Being chastised is good. Okay, so that will help you sober down, be more humble, and surrender to that spiritual teacher. So Krishna is now looking at the grief-struck Arjuna, and he's giving a smile, because now he's taken the position of a guru. He's no longer taking the position of a friend. He's now saying, okay, I'm your guru. I'm ready to take the position of your guru. And now he'll start dissolving all the doubts that is filled up in Arjuna's mind. Okay, let's read verse 13. Anyone who's not read can read now.
Hare Krishna Mataji, shall I read?
Yes, Maya Devi Mataji.
Hare Krishna. 213, Bhagavad Gita 213. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dheras tatra namuhyati. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Nicely
Hare
read.
Krishna, very good. Thank you.
So from verse 11 to verse 30, Krishna is summarizing Sankhya Yoga. Okay, Sankhya Yoga is a science of detailed study of the body and soul. Body is a matter and the soul is spirit. So these 19 odd verses, 20 verses go in detail, gives a summary of Sankhya Yoga. So the first reason that Arjuna expressed for not fighting is the compassion he's feeling for his family. And now Krishna is trying to respond to that misplaced compassion with these verses that on Sankhya Yoga. So Krishna is now saying, he's telling Arjuna, don't lament. Every individual every individual, whether it's whether it's Krishna, whether it's Arjuna, all the warriors in the battlefield, every single person has existed before. They will continue existing even after the battle. They are all eternal. Okay, he's saying so. So Krishna is explaining about the soul over here. He's talking about the soul. Okay, and in verse 13, he very beautifully explains our true identity. He's saying our true identity is that we are the soul. We are not this body. We are, when we take birth in this material world, we are given a certain type of body. Okay, this body grows from being an infant, and you don't have to imagine a human. This could be applicable to a animal, bird, aquatics you see everywhere. So they, when they are born, they have a small body like an infant. Then they go through boyhood, adult, old age, and finally at death, what happens is this soul simply gives up this body and moves on to a new body. Right? So Krishna is saying, you're not this body, because this body is temporary, but the soul within is your true identity. And when what Krishna is talking about is the knowledge of self. He's talking about the Atma. Are we the body or are we the soul? So you, when you were small, right, you went through this. Your body does not look the same that it was when it was small. You can feel your nails are hardened, your skin looks different, your hair looks different compared to what you are. You're no longer the same body that you were when you're a small person, but still that Atma within is not changing. It's the same anu that is within still continues to remain and be the same. And there's a nice example given of this whole discussion on soul and body. If you There was a man who had a parrot in his house, and he brought a nice golden cage for this parrot. Right, this cage is so expensive. So what he started doing, he started taking care of the cage. He's nicely wiping it, cleaning it, keeping it all nice in the sun. But eventually he forgot to take care of the bird within the cage, such that in few weeks the bird dies. Why does this happen? Because he stopped taking care of the bird within. He's only taking care of the external cage that's holding the bird. Similarly, this body that we have is just nothing but a cage. This actual content, the real us, is within. So when we are doing so many things to take care of the body, we do things to go to gym, build up our muscles, we go to the salon, do things for the hair, face, we buy expensive clothes. We're doing so many things for our body, but when was the last time we actually did something for our soul? Right? How to nourish this soul? That is a real question. How are we going to nourish this soul? By the way, the fact that you have come in here and you're listening to this Bhagavad Gita class is nourishing to your soul. Okay, and this will take the soul closer to the supreme soul or the Paramatma. But anything that you do beyond going to movies, engaging in unnecessary gossip, listening to worldly matters, it might be required to some extent, but you're overdoing it, then it's not going to help your soul at all. It will take you further from the Paramatma. So a sober person or a dhira is not bewildered by such changes in the body. Okay, he's not bewildered. The most important instruction to take home today is, who is a dhira? He's a sober person who has perfect knowledge of the constitution of the individual soul. Now, Srila Prabhupada is talking about this bird and the cage. So we should remember, we should take care of our soul and not just the body. Okay, so with that, he further goes. See, remember, he's still explaining Sankhya Yoga. He's further going to explain more details about the soul. He's telling the soul is indestructible. Okay, it does not get killed. So the soul never dies. So the true identity of the soul is that it is eternal. So can someone read verse 22 on your screen, please?
Mataji, can I read?
Yes, I
Vidya.
can, I can,
Vidya
I can.
Okay, Sudha
Sudha.
Prasad. Okay, go ahead.
वासांसि जीर्णानि यत विहाय नावानि गृह्णाति नरोपराणि तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णानि अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones.
Yes. So what the soul is doing, thank you, Mataji. So what the soul is doing at the end, when the body is no longer capable to sustain this soul, it gives up this body. Just like we change clothes when this cloth gets soiled, we don't no longer wear it. We simply give up and wear a new set of clothes. Similarly, this body is nothing but a cloth, a cover for the soul. Okay, so when the body is no longer capable to sustain the soul, it will move on. Now, in the material world, there are 84 lakh species of living beings, 84 lakhs, right from insects, amoebas, bacteria, birds, animals, livestock, everything, human beings. So out of this 84 lakh, your insect this time, next time you might be a worm, right? Next time you might be a bird, or you could be something in the ocean, or it could be something in the salt, a lake. So every birth, the soul simply keeps moving and the body keeps changing, right? Sometimes we are humans as well, and that is one of the best possible things to happen to us. So ultimately, we need to understand our true identity is that we are this eternal spirit soul. We are not this body, right? Ultimately, the verses in these verses, Krishna is saying, confirming that our true identity is of the spirit soul. Okay, so these are the characteristics of the soul as defined in the verses in chapter 2. So we should remember there are many verses. Na chindani, we cannot cut by any weapon. Does anyone know what's the size of a soul? How big is the soul?
It's the hair tip divided by 10⁻⁴.
10 is to 4,
10
10,000 times. Okay,
Huh.
10,000 times. So if you take the tip of your hair, split it 10,000 times, that one part is the size of the soul. Okay, so you cannot cut something that small by weapons, right? It cannot be burnt, it cannot be immersed in water, it cannot be dried in wind. It is unbreakable, cannot be burnt, it's insoluble, cannot be dried, it's everlasting, exists everywhere, and it is unchangeable. Okay, our body might go through different changes. The body that we had at birth and at the death is different, but our soul still remains the same. Okay, so it's all, these are the characteristics. We are just defined some over here, but if you go through the verses up to verse 30 in chapter 2, it gives you all the characteristics of the soul. Okay, so Krishna is saying death of the body is inevitable. Just because Arjuna has decided not to fight, it does not mean his family and friends will live forever in this world. So every living being is manifest in the beginning, then they at the end, when it's time to die, they unmanifest, right? So finally the body is destroyed and they unmanifest, but the soul continues to stay. So the soul cannot be slain. It cannot be slain, and the intelligent person should not grieve too much about something that is anyway temporary. So Krishna is saying true compassion should be for the soul, not for something that is going to fade away anyway in time. Okay, so Krishna has now responded to Arjuna's question on his compassion for the family. He's saying all these people that you see in the war field, these are all eternal beings. They're not going to die. Even if you kill them, they're not going to die because they're going to move on to the next body. So there's no point in crying for something that was anyway temporary. It was not supposed to be here forever. So at a very high level, Krishna responds to the first doubt of Arjuna. Now further, he goes on to the second topic. Okay, what is the second topic? It's called Sakama Karma Yoga, or it's also called as Karma Kanda activities from verse 31 to 37, Krishna is talking about karma kanda activities. Now, what is sakama karma yoga? That means to say we are performing certain activities with the desire to be the owner of that result. You desire to be recognized for that activity, or whatever results come from that activity, you want to claim it as your own. Okay, so Arjuna's second doubt was there is not going to be any enjoyment once he kills his family. Now Krishna is trying to respond to that question. He's saying, as a Kshatriya, Arjuna is a Kshatriya, right? Only duty of a Kshatriya is to protect his people from harm, and for that he needs to fight. So fighting is one of the duties of a Kshatriya. So if he fights and wins the kingdom, then definitely there's enjoyment because he's got something that definitely belongs to him. But in case he dies in the war, even then he's going to go to heavenly planets where there's unlimited luxuries, unlimited propensity to enjoy. So either which way, whether he fights or dies fighting, there is enjoyment for sure, right? And but else, if what happens if Arjuna decides not to fight? Krishna explains that as well. In case he gives up on his duties, then there's definitely sin because he's not performing his dharma, he's not doing his duties, right? So people will never say Arjuna gave up the battle because of compassion. They'll say Arjuna left the battle because of fear. He feared the Kauravas and hence left it. So a kirti will follow, and people will criticize him for that. And if he fights, and but on the other side, if he fights and gets a kingdom, there's enjoyment. If he dies in the battle, he'll go to heavenly planets. That is also enjoyment. So this way, Krishna, in the second topic, that is karma kanda, he explains this response to the second question, enjoyment of Arjuna. Did someone just raise your hand? Was there any question? Okay. But,
yes, ma'am. There was a question.
Yes, go ahead, Mataji.
Mataji, I have a question. So in the previous shloka, Lord has explained that we are a part of the soul. The soul is divided into 10,000 pieces, and we are a part of the eternal spirit. Soul is what is being mentioned. So my question is, are we Bhagwan or are we a part of Bhagwan?
Okay. First of all, let me just correct it. The soul is not broken into 10,000 parts. We are talking about what's the size of the soul. Okay. If you break the tip of your hair into 10,000 parts, that one part is the size of the soul. So your question, are we Bhagwan or are we Jivatma? We are Jivatma, right? Eternally we are Jivatma. Like you look at a big fire, there are a lot of sparks coming out of the fire, right? There's a bonfire, there's a big fire, and from that big fire, small sparks keep coming off. Qualitatively, the spark and the big fire is same, right?
Okay.
Quantitatively, it's not the same as the big fire. The impact of big fire is different. The impact of small fire is different. So we are qualitatively same as a Supreme Lord, but quantitatively, we are different, right? We cannot do what the Lord is doing. We don't have that kind of potency. Bhagwan has 6 potencies, right? He's all beautiful. He's all wealth. He's all strength. He has fame. He has knowledge. His full renunciation. 100%. That is all filled up in the Lord, right? We cannot be all that. One person, Jivatma, cannot be all that. So we are Anu of the Vibhu.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Nice question.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. So from here on, Krishna is explaining the third topic. Okay. The third topic is very interesting, and we have at least 4 chapters describing it in much more detail. This topic is Nishkama Karma Yoga. Okay. The previous topic was Sakama Karma Yoga. The third topic is Nishkama Karma Yoga. which means this topic Nishkama Karma Yoga is also called as Buddhi Yoga. Okay, so literal translation of the word Nishkama Karma Yoga means working without attachment to the reactions of the work. Make sense? Nishkama Karma Yoga. So what is expected from Arjuna as a warrior is that he should fight without being attached to the result of the fight as a matter of duty, because that is what the Supreme Lord wants. That's why the whole war is being waged, because there's a bigger motive behind the war, right? Krishna takes birth each time only when adharma, irreligion spreads, and when he comes, he makes sure that all the adharmis are vanquished from the earth. So Krishna has taken birth, and there's a bigger motive behind this war, right? And Krishna is asking him to fight, so that is his dharma now. So this kind of action where we are not attached to the act itself, we are not saying I'm the actor, I'm the reason these results are seen, that kind of action is Nishkama Karma Yoga. Also in this verse, in verse 46, Krishna is using a specific word called Vyavasayatmika Buddhihi. Now, Vyavasaya means business. Business. If you look at a businessman, how do they work? The only objective they have when they're working on their business is to make profit. And they'll do everything very single-mindedly, just with the intent of getting profit. The end result is profit.
Profit and gains.
Yes. So this Vyavasayatmika Buddhi is what Krishna is expecting from us when we do our karmas as well. Okay, he's saying with a single-minded focus, we need to focus on our spiritual life. We do karma, we do actions, but with a single-minded focus that we are doing this action for Krishna and not for our own enjoyment. So whatever good, bad comes from this action, the owner of that action or the result is Krishna. It's not that, some profits come, then I am the enjoyer. If losses come, then it's all on Krishna. It's not that, right? It does not matter to a karma yogi who, for them, all that matters is they are acting with intelligence. And the result of the action, they're not worried about it. So they act very intelligently. They put their best effort, and they don't rejoice if there's big profit, fame that's come out from there. They don't rejoice. Or if there's too much loss that comes, or disfame, infamy coming from, they're not worried about it. They know that Krishna is the person who's giving the final result, right? So Krishna is telling Arjuna to act with this Vyavasayatmika Buddhi to remove all the indecisions he's facing. Vyavasaya is focus, single-minded focus on spiritual, what is the higher requirement. So with that kind of intention, if he works, then all his indecisions will completely vanquish. Can someone please read verse 47?
कर्मणि एव धिक्कारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भुर्मा ते सङ्गोत्सव कर्मणि. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of the action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is a very important verse, right? You might have heard this verse being repeated many times. Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbur mate sangostva karmani. Right? So what is Krishna telling? What is Nishkama Karma Yoga? Krishna is saying how to perform. He's explaining how to perform Nishkama Karma Yoga. Okay, so you must perform the prescribed duties, but you're not entitled to the result of that action. One should never consider oneself to be the cause of that result. And one should not be detached from doing duties as well. So let's be very clear. Krishna is not telling give up everything and just focus on me. He's saying do your actions, right? But don't expect the result. Don't be too attached to the action or the results of the action. So he's answering the third doubt of Arjuna. He was concerned of all the sinful reactions that will going to come up, but Krishna is eliminating that. He's saying that you can eliminate all that sin by doing unattached action and act only for Krishna. For example, farmers, when they harvest, or sorry, when they plow this seeds, they put the grains, but they cannot confirm that the crops will actually grow because there are many factors. Could be the sun, heat, rain, right? So but they still plan that certain crops have to be grown on certain period, right? And they have to be meet certain conditions, environmental conditions, all that they plan. So planning is still needed, right? It's not that you're drowning and somebody is coming by a boat, but you're saying Krishna will come and protect. Are Krishna has sent to your boat. You need to just board it. So you need to plan. You need to be proactive. You need to take action, right? But if because of that action the results are positive or negative, that's not something you can cry over. For example, this whole war between Pandavas and Kauravas, did they not plan for this battle? Of course, Krishna is there, but they did plan. They did strategize how the battle should be, what formations, where should the attack happen, what kind of weapons. They did strategize, but they did not say anything further than that. They did their action. They put their best effort. The result will depend on Krishna. So this is one way of giving up all your anxiety of work. You do your actions, you plan properly, you do your actions, put in the right required effort, and Krishna will control the result. So, a very nice example of this is of that of a sparrow. Once it so happened that there was a sparrow. There are some rocks on the shore of the ocean where a sparrow had laid its eggs on a nest. And the ocean, a big wave came in and pulled out these eggs into the ocean, right? The sparrow requested the ocean, dear Lord, please return those eggs to me. My children, please return them to me. But the ocean would not listen. Such a small bird, what difference does this bird's request make to a big ocean? So the ocean didn't listen. Now, slowly, after much pleading and very annoyed now, the sparrow started slowly, drop by drop, it started picking up water in its small beaks, in its small beak. But what big impact can a small sparrow do to a big ocean? So after much effort, slowly, the sparrow is getting tired, right? You can imagine how much effort that needs to try to empty the ocean. So the bird is getting tired, sparrow is getting tired, but it's not given up. It's still trying to fight with the ocean. But there's one other big bird. It saw the plight of the small sparrow and then came to support this bird, right? Who is this big bird? None other than Garuda Deva. Now, Garuda Deva, he threatens the ocean. He says, return or else. And Garuda can empty this whole ocean with one suck of his beak. And the ocean had no other option but to listen now and return the eggs. So this is our effort. This is our Krishna consciousness effort. We cannot control the outcome. All we can do is be consistent, persistent in our effort to please Krishna in our actions, right? And eventually, Krishna, he will relieve us from the pangs of Maya. All this different, kalmasha going on around us, all the troubles, all these different things that keeps bothering us. All this is act of Maya, right? Maya is making sure that whatever past misdeeds we have gone through, we are going through the reactions of all those misdeeds in this life. But if we are consistent and persistent, it's not that one day I'm doing my chanting, one day I'm listening, and then I forget, I don't care, I don't have time today, there are more important things. But we need to be persistent and consistent. If that is our attitude, then Krishna will save us from the pangs of Maya. So our karma yoga should be in that direction. So what is the benefit of working in Nishkama Karma Yoga? The actor does not see the reactions. There's no reactions they face after that. Okay. And eventually, because of consistency in their action, they are not going to go through the repeated cycles of life and death. Janma, uh, uh, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. These are the four miseries of a material life. And we consistently, every birth of after birth, we go through it. We might think we are happy, we are enjoying life, but Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi is a consistent feature, right? But one who works like the sparrow, consistent and persistent, without being disturbed by external factors, right? Such a person is called a sthita pragna, or a liberated soul. A sthita pragna is one who has no, and this is a definition of pure bhakti. Krishna is giving a glimpse of pure bhakti in the verses showing about sthita pragna. Okay, so it's covering the fourth topic, which is about sthita pragna, and this is a definition of pure bhakti. So such a person will eventually have no material desires for themselves. They are undisturbed, whether they are in happiness or sadness. They are free from all kind of attachments, any kind of fear and anger, because they know that whatever happens, they might be in a terrible situation now, but they can't control it. If Krishna wants to save them, they will be saved. If Krishna wants to yeah, kill them now, that's okay, that's Krishna's wish, right? So they interact, they work with a steady mind. They're unaffected by all the good and evil that is going on around them, right? So this is a sthita pragna. A sthita pragna is compared to a turtle. Now, what does a turtle do? Whenever they have certain requirement, like they bring out their limbs out only when it's required. Otherwise, it's hiding inside a shell. Similarly, a sthita pragna will only bring their senses into use only if it's in service of Krishna. They will go to travel to places, they'll eat prasadam, they will engage in service of Krishna, they'll clean the temples of Krishna. So they use their senses only to engage in pure bhakti or service to Krishna. Okay, so this is a definition of a sthita pragna, or a person who's engaged in bhakti yoga. So Krishna has covered 4 topics in this chapter. Okay, and there's a very nice pastime of a person called Maharaj Ambarisha. He's a good example of sthita pragna, okay, a pure devotee of the Lord. So what happens is, this Maharaj Ambarisha, he is known famously because, and by the way, Maharaj Ambarisha is part of the Ikshvaku dynasty, same as Lord Ram. Okay, and he's famous, Maharaj Ambarisha, because he uses all his services only in the service of Lord, right? He uses his nose to smell the flowers, his eyes to look at the deities, his ears, he's only listening to Harikatha. He's using his tongue to taste the prasadam and glorify the Lord. And he's using his skin to embrace other devotees. He's using his legs to go to temples, and he's using his hands to sweep and clean the temple. Imagine a king is doing all that. He's personally serving the Lord. So all his senses are only engaged to serve the Lord. So even when he's ruling the kingdom, his mood is not that I am the biggest, I am the highest, I'm the ruler of this dynasty. He's not ruling with that. He's ruling with the attitude of the servant of the Lord. So when a king rules that way, they serve with the objective that their subjects are getting closer to the path of spiritual liberation, right? So that was his mood, and he was a very dear devotee of the Lord. So such a king, it said that he performed Ekadashi Vrata continuously for 1 year, continuously. Imagine, nirjal, no water. And after performing it for 1 year, on the next day, which is a Dwadashi, there's a certain time, we call it as a parana time. One has to break their fast within that time limit. Sometimes this time could be 1 hour, sometimes it's half an hour, sometimes it's just 1, 2, 3 minutes, right? So every Ekadashi, the parana time changes. So the next day on Dwadashi, he arranged a big feast. He invited all the brahmanas and he fed them this sumptuous Dwadashi Prasada. Okay, and finally, after everyone was satisfied and about to, everyone was done honoring the prasada, he himself sat down with his wife, who was also performing the same Ekadashi Vrata, to consume this Dwadashi Prasada feast. At the same time, a very renowned sage called Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni is a Amsha of Rudra, Shiva, and he's known for his anger. Okay, he gets angry very quickly. So he happened to come to the same place where Amrish Maharaj was about to break his fast. Looking at him, Amrish Maharaj welcomed him and he told Durvasa Muni, please come accept the prasadam. But Durvasa Muni said, I need to go to the river and finish my Sandhya Vandana before I can accept the prasada. So give me some time. I'll just quickly go to the river, finish my Sandhya Vandana and come back. Right? But this Durvasa Muni, he got so engaged in his prayers that he lost count of time. The time was slipping and the partner time was just about to end. And he lost track of time there while he's offering prayers. Now, it's very important that when you break the fast, it has to be broken to make sure the whatever credit that you have, whatever fasting or austerities you have performed for Ekadashi, it's only valid if the fast breaking is also done within the time. So Amrish Maharaj was. He started consulting with all the learned brahmanas around. He said, I cannot offer prasadam because my guest is not back yet. Durvasa Muni is not back yet. So I can't consume prasadam without him. But also I have to break my fast right now. So what do I do? Because the time is slipping quite fast. So these brahmanas suggested that take soak a tulsi leaf in a glass of water, and the water that is dripping from the tulsi, break your fast with that. Because Maharaj Amrish was doing nirjal fasting without water as well. He's allowed to break his fast with water, jala. Okay, so Amrish Maharaj did that. He did not eat grains. He did not, because he's still waiting for his guests, but he broke his fast with just water. So he did that. But now Durvasa Muni could sense that Amrish Maharaj has broken his fast without waiting for him. And he's instantly very angry. Okay. And in his anger from his jata, he removed a lock of hair, threw it on the ground with full anger. And from that lock of hair, a very, very a demon who looked very scary. He came out from that lock of hair. It said that he looked so angry. This demon looked so scary, and his whole body was like a molten lava. So this demon, he chased to Ambarisha to kill him. Right, but just then, because Amrisha is a devotee of the Lord, a Sudarshana appears over there. The Lord Sudarshana itself appears and it chops the head of this demon. Right, and then this now Sudarshana, it goes to attack Durvasa Muni. Now Durvasa is very scared. He understands that his life is going to end. So what he does, he runs from the Sudarshana. First, he goes to Satyaloka, where Lord Brahma stays. Right, he begs Brahma to save him. Brahma says, this is the Lord's weapon. I can't counteract it. Go to Shiva. Then he goes to Shiva. Shiva also says something similar. He says, I can't stop this Sudarshana. Go to Narayana. So next, Durvasa goes to Vaikunta, where Narayana is, and he's begging the Lord, please save me from this Sudarshana. And the Lord says, this Sudarshana was, evoked such so that it can save my devotees. Now I can't ask it to stop saving my devotees. So the only best thing you can do, because you've offended my devotee, go to that devotee and beg for his forgiveness. Now you can see how Durvasa Muni, this is a very rare scene. Normally the kings are falling at the feet of a Brahmana, but here a Brahmana is falling at the feet of the king. Right, now Durvasa thought that Amrisha is a very ordinary man. He didn't know how sthita pragna, how much of a devotee of a Lord he is. Now he comes to Amrisha He begs for forgiveness, and Amrisha tells him, what about forgiveness? I didn't even take offense to this whole action. And then he requests Sudarshana to go back. And this way, the life of Durvasa was saved. Right? So this is how we understand the significance of a pure devotee, a sthita pragna, pure devotee of the Lord. It's the Lord is waiting to offer service to such a devotee, right? So the Lord wants to serve such a devotee, and hence he's always ready to protect such a devotee. So this is how we conclude chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita. So let's quickly summarize this chapter. We earlier on, the first few verses, Arjuna is indecisive about how can he kill his family, right? And then Krishna starts talking about Sankhya Yoga, the science of soul, the body and soul. He describes how the body is just a covering for the soul. He describes the characteristics of the soul. And then further, he talks about karma kanda, that is sakama karma yoga and nishkama karma yoga. Okay. And then he further talks about sthita pragna, okay, performing your duty equipoised in Krishna consciousness. So nothing external should bother you when you're serving Krishna. So since we spoke so much about the soul today, and we very well know what are the things we do for our body, what are the different things you do for your body to maintain your body today? We have good food, of course. The food is right there on the screen. Is there anything else you might be doing? You might be going to gym. You might be going to some spas, or you might be going to some good salons, right? We do all that for our external
We
body.
wear fine clothes.
Chanting,
Yeah, nice
We
clothes.
bath every day.
Yes,
We
yes.
take bath.
chanting, Mataji, chanting.
External body, for our external
Oh,
body.
external.
Things.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
We
Hare
take
Krishna
bath.
Mataji.
yes, we take bath. So remember,
Mataji, we take nice prasadam.
nice prasadam. Prasadam is good actually, right? That is something that you could do for your soul. Taking Krishna prasadam only, chanting. That is something you can do for your soul. And just because we said we are this body, we are the soul and not the body, does not mean we neglect the body, right? Remember, the Paramatma is within. When you go to a temple, right, there's temple and then there's a garbhagudi where the Lord is living, or so this body is a temple, right? When we take bath, is defined as marjana. We are doing mandira marjana, so we have to take care of our body. Cleanliness is very important, right? Only then we are eligible to serve the Paramatma within, right? So one way to nourish your soul, since this is a topic we mentioned in today's class, is chanting. Okay, with that, let's do a quick 11 times chanting, just like we did yesterday. Put yourself all on mute while I chant, and all on mute. I don't want any of you to be off mute, because it's going to be disturbing for everyone if everyone is going to be chanting together. Okay, so I will be chanting. You will chant loudly, but on mute. Okay, is that clear? Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I request everyone to please be on mute, because it will not be very clear for others to follow through. Please be on mute. Okay. Let's start again. Please be on mute. But you can continue chanting loudly, but while being on mute. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai. Okay. Okay, before we go on to question and answers, just a quick reminder, this Saturday is a Ekadashi. Saturday on the 25th is a Ekadashi. So just for the people who have signed up for Gita Gyan classes, there'll be a special class to explain the glories of Ekadashi. Okay, I don't know the timing yet. It could be in the morning hours on a Saturday. The time will be confirmed later during the week, right? But all of you, I request you to participate in that class so you can understand the glories of Ekadashi, and also there'll be some other spiritual activities that will follow through that time. Okay, so let's open for questions now. What are the questions? It's important that you ask questions. Otherwise, your doubts may never be clarified. You'll cement all those thoughts that you have in your head and never get clarification. So please ask
Hare
your
Krishna
questions.
Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So Mataji, thank you so much for this wonderful class again. My question is, Mataji, there was a discussion when you mentioned that the size of soul is very small, and when you cut the tip of your hair into 10,000 pieces, and the one piece is equal to the size of soul, right?
Yes.
So, and then when the body is not sustainable, then soul migrates to fresh body.
Yes.
Different body, depending on your karma, accordingly they get the next body. So my question is, Mataji, when the soul size is very small,
yes,
so does the soul has capability to move, from one place to another, from one lok to another lok, or is it like Paramatma who basically empower the soul to move from one body to another, or does soul has the capability to do all this?
Okay, I'll put a counter question. Let's think about this. India has a population of 1.3 billion, right? Last couple of years, population has increased drastically. So what do you
1.5.
think? 1.5, sorry about that. But what do you think? Were new souls getting generated to meet the population of India or the world?
Not new souls, Mataji. This could be like coming from maybe
Existing
different
souls. The souls are, and you'll get a little more depth into this topic as we go into Jnana Yoga chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, because the souls are already existing, they are eternal, right? And depending on the desires that we are accumulated in this body, the soul, the desires get transferred from body to body, from the mind is also part of subtle body of the soul. Okay, so desires, based on the desires that you're holding, you have desire to you see a movie and you say, oh, this actor is so good looking, I wish I looked like that, or this car, it looks so wonderful, I wish I had enough money to buy this kind of car. So you're accumulating all these desires within you, but right now you don't have the karma to get that kind of body or that kind of luxury. You need to accumulate those kind of karma, right? So depending on your desires, at one point you would have accumulated enough karma to acquire certain type of body, right? Look good, be very educated, have a lot of fame. All this comes from your past karmas, right? Even if you're going through a lot of trouble in this life, it's coming from last karma. So eventually you'll get to a point where you say, okay, you're living your reactions from the past life in this, or your desires are getting fulfilled in this life. Okay, so remember the soul that we are talking about. There are two souls within the body. There's Paramatma and Jivatma, two souls. Paramatma is the Lord, right? And Paramatma is the Vibhu, the bigger one. And from him comes our Anu souls. Each time, all these souls are already there. The souls are there right around us. Just as some souls may not have a body yet, right? When the time is right, they'll get a body. But this process of getting a body, it depends on what kind of it's completely dependent on the desires you're carrying. Krishna is not involved in what kind of body we get. It's completely dependent on us. You see that? We are driving our next birth.
Sure, Mataji, sure.
Yes. Okay.
So no. So basically, my question was that I understood, Mataji, that we get next birth based on our karma
Yes.
and desire.
So is the soul as potent to carry on from one body to the other? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
driven by the desires you have accumulated within you in your current material life.
Correct. So basically, when soul is within our body, then that capability is still there, but that capability cannot be invoked.
What cannot be invoked?
So let's say, I mean, we may take next birth, let's say, in different country
Yes.
or different
Yes.
planet
Yes.
for that
Yes.
matter, right? And soul is traveling, right, from
Yes.
one country to another or one planet to another planet.
Yes. Universals. Yeah.
Yeah, but when soul is within us, then I mean, then we cannot invoke the soul and get us travel to one planet to another planet.
Maybe
With
if you
this,
have the right kind of siddhis, but since you and I are not practicing siddhis now, right? That is not possible. It's only possible when we leave the body and then we have to force to accept another body.
thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank
Right.
you so much.
Actually, I forgot to mention what is the proof that there's a soul within the body? Is the fact that we are conscious is a proof that there's a soul within the body. So sometimes when a person passes away, we say the person has left us, right? So what really has left is not the body. The body is right there. The dead body is right there. So what really has left is a soul. So as soon as the soul has left the body, the consciousness is out, and hence the proof that there's a soul within us is the fact that we are conscious, right? And when we are referring to somebody as leaving, we're actually referring to them as a soul, right? So
Yeah.
that's also important point to remember.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
May I ask you one question?
Yes, Kalyani Mataji.
Mataji, I got a doubt only after you answered this question of Prabhuji's.
Yes.
So what happens when a person becomes unconscious or is in a comatose state?
Okay.
And during the period where in which he's in a comatose state, what is the soul doing that time? And
This- yeah.
and there are many. I have come across a few
Yes.
patients who have regained their consciousness also.
Mm,
So in this interim period, what is
Yeah.
happening to the soul, Mataji?
yeah. See, consciousness, I know there are very few instances where there are stories about the soul left the body, right? Temporarily. But all unconsciousness state does not mean the soul is out. They're just unconsciousness because of external bodily conditions. You're not capable to be active at this point. But the soul is still there mostly, right? Very few.
So is this? I mean,
Yeah.
of course, I understand. Being a medico, it's
Yeah.
a deep sleep. It's the
Yes.
patient is in deep sleep.
Yes.
So he's still alive. That means the soul has not left the
Not
body.
left. Yes. The fact, the soon as soul leaves the body, the person is dead. There's no more recovery. Right.
Okay.
Very few chances, like in case of Ajamila. There's a story, maybe one of these days we'll talk about
Yes,
that,
yes, yes. I
Ajamila.
know the story. Yes,
Right.
Mataji.
Very few chances. Only if there's the blessings, if the Krishna so will has a will that this person should live for more time, then maybe very rare cases the soul might come back. But often soul is out, the person is no longer with us.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Um,
Yes, you have a question?
yes, Mataji, I have a
Yes, please.
question related to the previous answer
Hare
that you
Krishna.
have given. So is there, so if a person has been resurrected in life, for example, if a person has passed away and has been given CPR and recovered,
Mm-hmm.
okay, does that mean that the person has taken a rebirth? Number
No,
one.
no, it's most likely they just come back to consciousness without any activity of the soul. Soul is still within the body.
Okay. Number two, we had read earlier today that the soul takes different bodies as we change garments.
Yes.
Like how we change garments, the soul
Yes.
takes different bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So, and every birth we accumulate our different karmas.
Yes.
So when does the circle of life end? I mean, I've heard. I mean, I'm new to
Okay.
this entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard so much about going to Goloka Vrindavan, and I'm very, very, very interested in it. But
Absolutely,
how
Mataji.
do you attain Goloka Vrindavan when you're going to keep on accumulating
Absolutely.
karma till the last breath of your life?
I'm so happy to
That
hear
is
this question. And you're saying you're an absolute new devotee and you're asking such a wonderful question. So, how do we go back to Goloka Vrindavana? That is the essence of whole Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Ask me this question again when we are towards the end of chapter 18, if you have not got your answer yet.
okay, ma'am. Okay,
Okay.
I'll do that.
Yeah, because we are still at the
I'll do that.
beginning. That is a big topic that dwells into deeper concepts of bhakti. So you will get your answer, but if you want me to summarize by the end of the 18th chapter, we can do that again.
Okay, ma'am. I'll wait for the 18th chapter to end then.
Jai. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare
Okay,
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna,
somebody is
Mataji.
saying, ma'am, can I get the recording of the Ekadasi class of Saturday? Sure, I'm sure there'll be a recording and that will be circulated when that happens.
Mataji, can I ask a question?
Yes, Jagdish Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
If we have to undergo the effects of our previous karmas in this life,
Mm-hmm.
so what is the use of being pious and religious? Because the, the effects have to be borne by you, so they will be showing the effect. So
Yes.
in that case, why should it's a very tricky question. Why
Yes.
should I be doing all the puja path? That's my
Why should you be doing? Because look at karma, what we went through in karma yoga and karma kanda. What happens in karma kanda? You're eating food just like that, right? You're eating food. Even if you're a vegetarian, you are killing some plants. Even the plants have soul in it, right? So you have stopped the evolution. You're actually incurring the sin of eating because you're eating just like that. Animals, of course, there's sin because you're killing and eating a live person. But even with plants, vegetarian diet, there is some amount of sin that is incurred. Okay, the sin will be less, but there is sin. Now, versus you're doing the same thing, eating a vegetarian diet, but you're offering that to Krishna and then you're eating it, right? You're eating prasada that is given to Krishna. So you're not eating for your own self enjoyment. You're eating something that is Krishna prasada. And that is the way to remove sins from your action. Okay, which means to say once you start getting more into Krishna conscious activities, if let's say you're reading books these days, you're reading some kind of fictional books, you're reading some kind of documentaries, you're doing all that, you're getting a lot of knowledge, right? But this knowledge is only going to be knowledge that you've accumulated in this life. But you're reading spiritual books versus, right, as a Krishna devotee, you're reading spiritual books. This is going to take you from this life to the next life, sustain you your Krishna consciousness in next life, and evolve you further into the evolution of spiritual life. So why should you do Krishna consciousness? right? That's an important question.
Mataji, I have a doubt.
Yes.
Ma'am,
Sorry, Jagdish Prabhu, is your question answered?
Yes, Mataji, thank you so much for the
Hare Krishna.
clarification. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes, go ahead, Mataji.
okay, so Mataji, you recently mentioned that by taking vegetarian diet, we are lessening our sins. But ma'am, why it is said sins are lessened?
I said there is sin, but the sin is lesser because these in the cycle of food chain, okay, there are food that is allowed, right, versus not allowed. So when you're eating something vegetarian, like a plant, there is definitely sin, but it's lesser because it's in the list of food that is allowed to be consumed by Krishna. But if that same food is offered to Krishna and then you consume, then there's no sin.
Yes. Okay, Mataji. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. My
Yes,
question,
Kangai Prabhu.
Mataji.
Yes.
Mataji, once the body leaves the Atma or on this one soul, either it immediately gets a new body, transform it another body, or it is to be wandering somewhere at some time. Because of that, we are yearly this one vertical celebrations of
Yes.
parting pinda and all these things we are doing, no?
Yes.
So what does that mean?
Yes.
Once he will forget everything from once his soul is there, I mean, go away from the body, he forgets everything from this but this life. So whether we are offering that and how that is he gets completely yearly we are celebrating offering pinda
Yes.
and
Yes. Good question. So what happens after the soul has left the body? The 8 or 9 days period is where the body's soul is getting used to the fact that we are it's no longer attached to this body. Okay. And that is when we should be offering prayers for the soul. We should be chanting verses chapter 8, chapter 10, chapter 12 from Bhagavad Gita, because that's a reminder to the soul that it's no longer the body that it used to connect with. Okay, so that's something that you do. But what happens, does there's something called as akala mrityu versus normal death. Akala mrityu is when the body uh, the soul left the body before time, right? So in that case the soul will be loitering in the sky to the point it is now ready to accept a new body, right? But if it's a case of timely death, and in that case of course it goes through hellish Vaturini river, it goes through that, it goes through whatever reactions they have to go through, and there might be certain punishments, they as mentioned in Garuda Puran, right? They have to go through all that, and when it's ready, and then it's ready to accept a new body. But of course that whole thing can change for a devotee, right? The devotee may not really have to go through all that because they have started engaging in devotional service. But a regular person who's not engaged in devotional service, this is the flow they go through. But a devotee is under the protection of the Lord. As long as we live a life such that at the point of death, we can remember the Lord, we can call out to Krishna, remember, and to do that is no small feat. We have to live a life such that we die remembering Krishna, right? Think of the time you tripped on a stone, did you remember Krishna? That's a good way to test the litmus test. Are we constantly remembering Krishna? And remembering Krishna is possible only when you're engaged in Krishna consciousness every minute of your life. If you're working, your karma is such that it reminds you of Krishna. When we live a life like that, even at death, we'll remember Krishna. And when we live like that, in service of Krishna, remembering Krishna, Krishna will also remember us. And then we don't have to go through this plight of rebirth, hellish planets. All that is stopped.
It is my question is not clarified, Mataji. So only when the soul left from the one this body, present body, immediately whether he'll get transferring to other body.
No, it depends on whether they went through a Akala Mrityu versus a regular birth.
Acha.
Right?
Akala Mrityu means how that soul will
like
get
accidents, very early, there anything less than 60 years of age is Akala Mrityu, right? And how we do pinda and all that, and how does that, because of the soul is still the same, right? Your the soul might be liberated, or it might be going through certain sinful reactions in their next life. The soul is still getting benefited because you're offering oblations, right? So the same soul, it might be in a different body altogether.
Okay.
So whatever reactions they are going through because of the previous, when you're offering oblation, they are going to get some kind of relief in their whatever life they are right now.
Okay,
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
I seem to be getting many doubts now.
Okay.
So does it mean that somebody is already performing oblations for us now while we are still living?
Yeah. You have gone through many lifetimes. So some ancestor, if they are still in this current age, if they are still Vedic in their behavior, they might be still doing oblations for us.
Okay, my God. Oh, thank you so much, Mataji.
Jai.
Jai.
Okay, I need to end the class for now. I know it's a very interesting topic, and we're going to go through Jnana Yoga from chapter 7 to, chapter 13 to 18 again, right? So we're going to go in depth into that in those chapters, so we can revisit these questions at that point as well. Okay, nice questions. Thank you for the very interactive session. I hope this session today was useful. And as usual, there will be a quiz that will be shared on the WhatsApp group. Do respond and please share your feedback on the call as well. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha
Hare
patitanam
Krishna.
pavanebhyo
Thank you,
vaishnavebhyo
Mataji.
namaha.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna.
Dandavad pranam,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna, Mataji. Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Mataji.
Hare
Dandavad
Krishna,
pranam.
Mataji. Dandavad pranam.
Dandavad pranam.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna,
Dandavad pranam.
Mataji.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Dandavad pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Cooperation.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Pranams to you. Thank you so much.
Dandavad pranam.
We can just distribute the work that we did for MST and just to.
I'm going to end the call for everyone. Hare Krishna.